on the Hawkeyes Sports Network from Learfield. This is the Fight for Iowa podcast, brought to you by Athletico Physical Therapy, proud partner of the Iowa Hawkeyes and the Big Ten Conference. Iowa's corn farmers of the Iowa Corn Growers Association and Iowa Corn Promotion Board. You may think Iowa grows corn, but the truth is corn grows Iowa. Shields, we're right there with you in Des Moines, Sioux City, Iowa City, and Cedar Falls. University of Iowa Healthcare. Changing medicine, changing lives. This is the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
Basketballs are always bouncing no matter the season around Iowa. Camps too, home and away, where Coach McCaffery and his staff have been scouring the country, studying talent intently, and putting together what the 15th year program supervisor makes no bones about, his deepest Hawkeye team to date. Addition by subtraction? That seems to be every team's dilemma in this new world of NIL and transfer portal. McCaffery understands better than most, if you aren't keeping up, you're falling behind. At last weekend's Polk County I-Club summer golf outing, McCaffery talked about his son Patrick moving on to Butler for his final year of eligibility, and all Big Ten guard Tony Perkins wearing a Missouri Tiger uniform in the SEC. The Hawks have replaced those veterans with seasoned stars from Morehead State and Manhattan. Guard Drew Thelwell averaged 10 points, 6 assists, and a couple steals for a 26-win team that won the regular season Ohio Valley Conference Championship and gave Illinois a heck of an opening round game of the NCAA tournament before falling. Manhattan transfer Seydou Traoré is a 6'7", 215-pound forward with 3 years eligibility and comes off a freshman campaign averaging 12 points and 8 rebounds. 4 first-year players who learned on the run a year ago, including Big Ten Frosh of the Year Owen Freeman. Maybe the Big Ten's best sophomore at either end of the floor in sharpshooting guard Josh Dix, and a pair of high school incoming top 100 players in 6'8" Cooper Koch and 6'8" Chris Taggio. And, of course, the cherry on top, Peyton Sanford, who owns the only triple-double in Iowa basketball history and led the league in made threes. It's quite apparent Fran McCaffery left no stone unturned.
We identified probably 8 or 9 and kind of zeroed in on Drew for a number of reasons. All-time winningest player in Morehead State history, 26 wins last year. Watched him in the NCAA tournament against Illinois. Really good player, really smart, really tough, but I think really exemplifies leadership skill. He's a talker on the floor, he talks on defense, he directs traffic, he can score, and he makes plays. I love that kid. He's going to be a terrific player for us. Seydou Traoré, athletic wing/post, little undersized 4, but with 3-man skills, can handle it, can make plays off the bounce, really long. He was the second leading freshman rebounder in the country last year at over 8 rebounds a game. Obviously, Dolph, I'm very familiar with that league. I coached at Siena for 5 years and used to play Manhattan, and we're in the same conference. So a lot of respect for the talent in that league, especially if you're one of the best players in it. Spoke to a number of coaches in that league, and they said tremendous, and really good friends with his college coach at Manhattan, and said just a beautiful human being, and love him as well. Both culture guys, both talented players, and both really play defense, and I'm really excited about that.
Fran, you've got the 4 freshmen, incoming first-year players on campus. Your thoughts on each of those, or collectively as a group?
Well, we all know Cooper Koch. Remember JR, one of the best players we've had here in many years. And his son Cooper is about 6'8", 6'9", tremendous shooter, but a really good player. Never stops moving without the ball, can put it on the deck and make plays, has a pull-up game, will stick his nose on the glass. Really, really talented freshman. Chris Taggio is somebody that we saw late in the process from the NBA Academy. Phenomenal athlete, tremendous athletic power, phenomenal person, and versatile. We can play small ball 5, we can play him at the 4 spot. He can guard, he can put on the deck, go coast to coast and dunk it. Trey Buchanan is a preferred walk-on. Indiana All-Star. So, I mean, to get an Indiana All-Star as a preferred walk-on is really special. Tough, smart, but really can make shots. Can play point guard, can play off guard. Tremendous shot maker, but really good with the ball. Can get in the lane and fight you on defense. Jacob Cook, his dad Nathan played here, played at West High with my son Jack. Watched him grow up essentially. Averaged about 16 a game last year at West, primarily at the off-guard position, but can also play the point. It's about 6'1". So we're really excited about all four of those guys.
Now, Coach, we understanding what Peyton and Josh Dix and others bring to the table, the fact that Patrick and Tony have moved on, add in the 4 freshmen with the 2 incoming recruits, with the 2 transfers, you got to be pretty excited about this youth and exuberance.
Dolph, I think this is probably our deepest team, I say. You think back to 16 when we had Clemens and Gasell and Jock and Utoff and Woodbury, Ola Shaney, all of them just, we had 10, 11, 12 guys that could play. And you look at this team, I feel the same way.
Good.
Really deep. And sometimes that can be complicated because you want to give each guy enough playing time, give them the opportunity to play through their mistakes. But it also allows you to absorb injury, God forbid, but at some point somebody's going to get sick, somebody's going to sprain an ankle. I remember a couple of years ago we had 3 starters out, lost a game we shouldn't have lost. That was not a deep club. 2 years ago, we had Chris Murray, Connor McCaffery, Philip Verbacha played 3,000 minutes at the 3, 4, and 5. And we just need to make sure that we can go on the road and absorb injury and foul trouble and know that we have guys that can come in and play. So I love this team, love our depth, and I think most importantly our versatility.
More of the Fight for Iowa podcast after this.
When it comes to your health, you need the full picture. That means the right diagnosis and the right treatment right from the start. I'm Aaron Bose, pediatric neurologist with University of Iowa Healthcare. Here, we're working together every day to advance medicine so you can get the best care. With more research, more clinical trials, and more treatment options than anywhere else in the state, the University of Iowa Healthcare is changing medicine and changing lives. Learn more at uihc.org.
To anyone passing through our state, fields and fields of corn might be what they see. But the people who call Iowa home know it's so much more. Corn is ethanol, a homegrown, renewable fuel. Corn is delicious pork, beef, poultry, and dairy. Corn is in 4,000 products we rely on every day. So yeah, our highway views are full of corn, and we're proud of it. Because corn grows Iowa. Show your support for Iowa corn farmers at iowacorn.org/fan of corn.
Tickets are on sale now for the Hy-Vee IndyCar Race Weekend Concert Series. Saturday, July 13th, see Luke Combs and Eric Church. And Sunday, July 14th, see Post Malone and Kelsey Ballerini live in concert. 1 ticket per day gets you into a race and 2 concerts. Tickets on sale now at HyVeeIndyCarWeekend.com.
Are aches, pains, or injuries keeping you on the sidelines? At Athletico, our movement experts are here to help you turn your setbacks into comebacks and create a personalized game plan for your recovery. With no prescription or referral needed, Athletico Physical Therapy is where your comeback story begins. Get started today by scheduling a free assessment at athletico.com. Proud partner of the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Now back to the Fight for Iowa podcast. Here's the voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin.
If McCaffery and the Hawkeyes are to maintain, renew, and cultivate that versatility annually, there must be a steady flow of NIL dollars. Name, image, and likeness will attract players that fit your program. But equally important, keep them here. Iowa has entered a collaboration with Altius Sports Partners and appointed Scott Brickman as general manager. Brickman is a co-founder of the Swarm Collective, so he's been on both sides of the NIL fence. Brickman received a scholarship to play baseball at Northern Iowa for current Hawkeye coach Rick Heller, and then spent nearly 20 years coaching and recruiting. Brickman has spent a lot of time raising money for universities as well. Brickman and his staff will assist the student-athlete, assuring he or she has the necessary tools and resources when making informed decisions about their NIL opportunities, such as licensing, agents, sponsorships, and other concerns. Name, image, and likeness has been with us since July of 2022, yet it's far from a finished product. While the NCAA and member institutions continue to build the parameters and boundary lines that both sides can live with, Scott Brinkman is attentive on what is specific now.
We're going to have revenue sharing. That's going to happen. How that's going to look institutionally within the athletic department. We got Title IX, things we need to work through. So a lot of stuff, we're living this real time right now. We don't have answers. It's in the courts right now. So we have these plaintiffs for the NCAA and then plaintiffs for the former student athletes that it's called the house case. So once that house case goes and the settlement gets the dotted line and we move forward, then we're going to have revenue sharing. But I think we're still also going to have NIL in some capacity, right? And what true NIL is meant to be. And so the call to me for our Iowa alums out there and corporate businesses, we're going to need to continue to step up corporate businesses for NIL purposes. And an example I can give you right now from an NIL perspective is you have these businesses, you have your chief marketing officer, you have your CEO, and they have a marketing budget, and they've used that marketing budget in the past for billboards on I-380 or on I-80 or commercial TV ads, or you have radio commercials, right? And so now we have another opportunity. If I'm a CEO listening to this, I have another opportunity to use my marketing budget to partner with our student athletes, whether that's coming out. The simplest thing would be a social media push out. Some of our athletes have 100,000 followers on their social media channels, utilizing our athletes for the ROI. The other piece of it too, and an example I've used in the past, is we've had a former women's basketball athlete, not named Caitlin Clark, who did a appearance for 90 minutes at a car dealership in small town Iowa. There was nearly 300 people that showed up to that car dealership for the meet and greet, take photos with the athlete, etc. That's a big deal to a business to have nearly 300 people, foot traffic coming into that business. So there's different opportunities. I think we need to get more creative and innovative in that space. We will continue to push that forward, but there's ripe opportunity for our businesses to have this other outlet now, and it's Hawks helping Hawks, right? So if you're a business leader, utilizing our athletes, and you can specify who it is, he or she, whatever sport, as a business leader, and bringing them and getting them involved. And that could even be talking to the employees about leadership or winning, whatever that might be. However you feel like you want to utilize our athletes, that opportunity is there. We are literally sitting here right now, and Beth she'll be attending this function here later on this afternoon. She'd tell you the same thing. Like, we know there's going to be revenue sharing, but how that gets dispersed, and that number is $21.7 million on an annual basis. We need to figure that out institutionally, the University of Iowa, the athletic department. But how we disperse that, like, there's Title IX implications, but then you have the other side of the house that thinks it's market value.
Sure.
Right? So how does that get disseminated amongst and allocated amongst our athletes? As we sit here today, like, we don't have that answer yet. But again, I would tell you that revenue share as of today is projected to begin August 2025. So we're a little over a year away.
Little time.
Very little, right? And so that's the stuff we need to figure out, not myself necessarily, but the institutions across the country are going to have to figure out, here's our number, 21.7 million. How are we going to allocate that out to our sports? And each institution is going to be a little bit different, right?
Sure.
So there's some sports that have hockey. We don't have hockey. We have other sports. And what are those profile of those sports look like? Those are all decisions that are going to have to make. And Beth Getzel, she's got some tough decisions she's going to have to make. We're not getting rid of sports or anything like that, but there is going to probably have to be a focus on certain sports, and each institution is going to have to figure out what that looks like.
Born and raised in Iowa, Scott Brickman understands the Hawkeye culture. And with this dynamic time for college sports, he's focused on helping Hawkeye student athletes profit from their NIL while providing everything they need for success in sport and life. I'm Gary Dauphin. That's it for this week's Fight for Iowa podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
You've been listening to the Fight for Iowa podcast. Hawkeye fans, remember to hit the subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. Once you become a Fight for Iowa podcast subscriber, you'll automatically receive the latest episodes of the Fight for Iowa podcast, the Hawkeye Women Rise podcast, Hawk Talk replays, exclusive game content, and more. Until next time, on Iowa and go Hawks! The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Hawkeye Sports Network.